So y'all don't have to get your unit circle out. Just look at mine. Okay, this is what we worked so hard on yesterday and made this beautiful work of art that you can use to refer to. I told you yesterday on your assignment, I wanted you to, on the Delta Math assignment, I wanted you to use this to find your answers. Like, you didn't have to get any of it out of your head. We hadn't talked about how to do that yet, but you need to make sure you know how to use this, okay? So using this, if I want the cosine of 11 pi 6, and because I told you don't have to get yours out and you may not be able to see, here's 11 pi 6 right here. So what's the cosine? Is it the x or the y? The x. So it is square root of 3 over 2, right? It is the x value of that ordered pair. That makes sense to you? All right. And so just remember how to use this. X is cosine, y is sine, and use your little noggins today. All right. So if you did get this out, put it away. Just wanted to remind you of that a little bit. We're going to start with this piece of paper, and I want you to fold it with the circles on the inside. Fold it in half so the circles are on the inside. Then this, I guess we would technically call the front because of the way it opens, but that's not the way I copied it. I know you're shocked. So flip it over, that's the front. It's just going to open backwards, and we're all going to live just fine with that. And this is going on page 64 when we're done. If I forget to put it on the other one's going on 65. I think I forgot last period, but the fire drill also threw me off. Okay. And don't get ahead of me on these, even if you know it, because we're gonna do things in certain orders for certain reasons. I always have a reason for stuff. We're gonna start by putting in our angle measures in radians. So this right here, this would represent 0, right? In radians, what would this angle be? Pi over 2. Good. Pi over 2. Right? That's 90. It's pi over 2. The only way you're going to use degrees anymore is just to say things like that, to think about it as 90 or whatever, so we can refer to it. But we don't have to actually know anything other than this. All right. Halfway through the quadrant, we would be here. What would that angle be in radians? Pi over 4. Very good. Then we have two other angles. What are they? You can give them to me in any order. Pi over 3 and pi over 6, right? So you already know which ones you have to know, right? Which one of those two is smaller, pi thirds or pi 6? Pi 6. The bigger the denominator, the smaller the fraction. So this would be pi 6. This would be pi thirds. Okay, and the 3 is closer to the 2, right? See how that works? Those go in order. All right, so we got our angles down. Do those make sense? Yes. Okay. So now we're going to fill in this ordered pair. What is this ordered pair right here? 1, 0. Very good. And this one is
0, 1.
0, 1. There are no 2's. All right. So then the other ordered pairs, there's 3 numbers total that we're going to use. 1/2, square root of 2 over 2, and square root of 3 over 2. Now, one of these 3 numbers goes with an angle where it's the x, the same number as the x and the y value. Which one of these 3 numbers would that be? The middle one, right? And which angle does it go with? Pi fourths, because that is an isosceles right triangle that we did. That's why your x and the y are the same, because it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So with pi fourths, that's square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. Okay, so we're done with that one. Now, again, I'm going to give you multiple ways to think about things, but I want you to just think about measurements. We're not supposed to go by the way things look, but this is drawn to scale, so it really is okay. When I want to plot this point right here, I would go to the right first and then up. And I'm going to the right farther than I'm going up. Yes? So which one of these 2 fractions is bigger? Square root of 3 over 2, because square root of 3 is bigger than 1, right? So if I'm going to go to the right farther than I'm going up, then my x value has to be the square root of 3 over 2, and my y value is 1/2. And for pi thirds, it's the opposite. I don't go to the right as far as I go up, so it's 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. Okay. And I want you to remember that for every xy, that means that we have cosine theta, sine theta. It's in alphabetical order, just like x and y. Okay. Any questions at all? All right. Flip that over so you have a blank one. Now, I want you to put in the angles by yourself. I'm going to start you with 0. And without talking to anybody or looking at anything or flipping your paper back over, from your brain, do the best you can to get the angle measures in there in radians. If it's not right, we can fix it. If you're not sure, we can get it in there. I'm going to write mine down, but don't just copy mine down. Then once you've got them, check it with me. How do we do? We do good? All right. Now, next thing I want you to do is to fill in these 2 ordered pairs right here. 0 and pi halves. Just fill those in. Now, do I believe that you know the difference between X and Y? 100%. Do some of you still mess it up even though you know it? 100%. And usually because you're not really thinking about it, because it is easy. So take that extra second so you don't get them backwards. All right? Because if you're getting them backwards, I really don't think for many of you it's a lack of understanding. It's a lack of paying attention. Okay? All right, good so far? Now, put in your other 3 ordered pairs. Do the best you can without looking at anything or helping each other at all. And then check yourself up here. How do we do? Are we already quadrant 1 experts? Yes? Okay. So just so you know, Thursday's quiz, I'm going to give you this. You're going to do that. You could all probably get 100 right now, right? But I'm still going to give you a couple days so none of you freak out when I put it in front of you. But you should really have it solidified by then. All right? We good with that? Just literally this right here on Thursday. We're going to get farther and farther, but that's all I'm quizzing you on Thursday. All right. Now I want you to move this out of the way. We're going to be going back and forth. And I want you to fold this with the hand on the outside. Now, listen. Even if you're an expert at writing out the first quadrant, you don't want to have to write it out every single time, right? If I just ask you, what is the cosine of pi thirds? What is the sine of pi sixths? You don't want to have to think about the whole first quadrant. So I'm going to give you a couple of ways to think about this. So look at this hand here, and this is what's going on 65 when we're done, so I don't forget. So this hand, that is your left hand palm up. Your thumb would be the y-axis, your pinky would be the x-axis, and then your other 3 fingers represent those angle measures. Does that make sense? So if you put your left hand palm up, you can look at it and think about it as the first quadrant of the unit circle, okay? And you have a little paper hand. Oh no, I lost my hand. I want you to take this and set it down on top of the printed hand. Make sure the thumb is on the y-axis. And we're going to do gluing for dummies because it's necessary after what I've seen today. We're going to glue part of this down, not all of it. But if I'm going to glue it down and want it to look like this, does it make sense to put glue on this side of the hand? No. What do we need to do with this hand? Flip it over. So flip it over. Then there's 2 glue sticks on every table. Then you're only putting glue on the palm, only on the palm of the hand and not on the fingers. There's another one. And you have to share. There's only 2 on each table. Then flip it back over and glue it down. Wouldn't surprise me because it has happened today, even though I tried to make it as clear as I could in 3rd period. Whoops. Yeah, just put it back there. Yeah, you can see a little bit of mine. All right, focus. All right, do we all have it glued down? Now we just glued right on top of some words, so we need to fix that. We need to rewrite them here. And so you're gonna have a big old fraction bar there with a big old square root on top. And inside that square root, it says number of fingers. And underneath, there's a 2. Square root of the number of fingers over 2. Then we are going to write in our angle measure. So starting with the thumb, what's that angle? Pi over 2. Your index finger is pi over 3. Your middle finger, pi over 4. Your ring finger, and your pinky, 0. Okay? Does that make sense to you so far? Like how those fingers will represent that. Now, about 2 weeks after we do this, it never fails. I always have one, maybe more than one person that goes, yeah, I never really got the hand trick. Well, that's on you, because I'm willing to re-explain it 1,000 times, and you need to ask questions, because this is going to be one of the most important things you do so that you remember this for the rest of your life. Okay? Because it's going to make everything really easy. Let's start with pi fourths. Now, you're really going to do this with your hand in the end, but I found that it's easier to kind of teach it with literally a paper hand, and you can pretend like they're your fingers. So we're going to take your middle finger and bend it back. Okay? So we bend it back right there. And now think of the finger. We're doing this because it represents pi fourths, and it also represents the comma in the ordered pair. To the left of that finger, I have 2 fingers, right? And to the right, I have 2 fingers. So this little thing we wrote, square root of the number of fingers over 2. I have 2, so that would be the square root of 2 over 2. That's my x value. 2 fingers here, square root of 2 again, over 2. And there you go. It's magic. I know. Oh, I don't know. It's one of those universal things, kind of like SOHCAHTOA, just like everybody knows how this is how you remember things. All right, so let's put that finger back. Now take your index finger and fold it back. To the left of that, you have 1 finger. The square root of 1 is what? 1 over 2, so this would be 1/2. To the right of that, you have 3 fingers. So the other one is square root of 3 over 2. So it's going to look like y'all are playing air guitar when you're trying to think of these things. Listen. Make sure, if you have any questions about what's happening, make sure you ask. Now take your ring finger, pi 6, bend it back. To the left of that, you have 3 fingers, so that's square root of 3 over 2. To the right, you have 1, so that's the square root of 1, which is 1 over 2. Okay, that makes sense? Now, I'm going to put that back. Now, the other 2, I really think there's easier ways to know them, but this works still. Let's pull down your thumb. To the left of that, you don't have any fingers at all. You have 0 fingers. To the right, you have 4. The square root of 4 is 2 over 2 is 1. And that order pair is 0, 1. When you do your pinky for 0, fold that back. To the left, you have 4. Square root of 4 is 2 over 2 is 1. To the right, I don't have any fingers, and that is 0. Okay. So use your own hand, left hand palm up. You're not going to be using your right hand. You're not going to be turning it sideways to do other quadrants. It's just your left hand palm up. Which finger is pi thirds? Index finger. So we pull that back. What's the sign of pi thirds? Sign is the y value. Square root of 3 over 2, right? Now do pi sixths. What's the cosine of pi 6? Square root of 3 over 2. Cosine is x. Use your own hand. This is pi 6. Cosine is x. There are 3 fingers. Square root of 3 over 2 for cosine. Yes? Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Pi fourths. What's the cosine? Square root of 2 over 2. All right. I still use this mainly for pi thirds and pi six. Do I know them? Yes, just like you know X and Y. Do I do it sometimes to make sure I'm not getting them backwards because I wasn't thinking about it? Absolutely. Okay, so, and you don't have to like do it under the table like you're trying to hide. Like, it's fine. Use the hand trick. Be like, look what I can do, and now I'm going to know this forever. Okay, I had a couple people learn them from their siblings last night because I think they were asking for help on their homework, and one sibling was not so nice in the way they taught it, but at least they taught it. So, all right, we all good on that? Okay. So, open this up and reverse that. And we're going to go back and talk about tangent again. We're going back and forth here. Okay, so just like the hand trick is universal and SOHCAHTOA, things like that, this one is not. So years ago, I had a student that transferred in from another district, and this was before AP, so that you could do things in any order. And they had already done trig when she got here. So when we did this, she was like, hey, my teacher taught me a way to remember the tangent values. I was like, all right, so I'm always open to let me hear what you got. Maybe it's something I forgot or just never learned or whatever. And so she told me, she had to really explain it to me because, well, at first she couldn't remember it right. So that doesn't help when you can't remember it right. But then she did. And I was like, that's kind of genius. So I figured out who her teacher was, and I emailed him and I said, hey, so-and-so taught me your little trick. I'm just letting you know I'm stealing it and teaching my kids. Thanks, you know. And so he said that he made it up when he was in college to help him learn the tangent stuff. So it's kind of silly, but it's just some other teacher just came up with this because he needed something to help himself. And now I'm going to teach it to you. But sometimes the sillier the things are, the easier it is to remember, right? Or sometimes you just can't remember it because it is weird. I don't know. But the phrase you got to remember to help you hear, and some of this got chopped off, but it's you are one really overwhelming third wheel. So it kind of sounds like maybe he was having some drama in his friend group too. I don't know. So got stuff going on in his life with some third wheels. But here's the way this works. Now, the undefined, the U got chopped off. So y'all are going to have to write that U back in. I'm assuming it's chopped off on yours too. Okay, so the U, you literally think of, and then I'll show you how to put it on the circle, but you literally think of the letter U, and it stands for undefined. Okay. R, so what he said was a square root sign kind of looks like an R, which, okay, it does. So the word R gives me the square root of 3. 1 is literally 1. Really starts with an R, so you get another square root of 3. Overwhelming gives you a fraction bar, because you're putting something over something else. Third is 3, and wheel is 0. Okay, so that's what you are, one really overwhelming third wheel. That's how it works. Right, so to do that on here, the first thing we're going to do is I want you to put in your angles in radians all by yourself. Then you can check yourself. And I've been writing this all day, and I've known these forever, and I totally wrote one of these wrong last period. And I was like, well, that's a good teaching lesson. That was because I wasn't paying attention, even though I know what I'm doing. So, all right, no, just these are the angle values. It's all we want. Okay, so let me explain this. Let me explain this tangent thing to you. So you start up here with U. So this is undefined. The next one is R, so square root of 3. Oh, I totally got ahead of myself. Oh, wait, whatever. 1 is 1. Really, so really is the square root of 3. Sorry, I'm distracted now because I messed up. Over really overwhelming third wheel. Okay. That good? That makes sense? Okay. Any questions about that? All right. So what I meant to do before we did this part was to show you where the tangent values came from. But I just gave them to you, but I'm still going to show you where they came from, and then we'll talk about other ways to remember them. The other way I remember this, let's talk about it first. But this, again, you kind of have to think through the whole quadrant, but it's not that big of a deal if that's what helps you. Okay. So go back to your other sheet of paper. Got ahead of myself there. It's all thrown off. So this was the front that's backwards, right? We wrote some extra stuff on there. So go to this side where that's all we had on there. And let's talk about tangent. Okay. So back on the other sheet of paper there. Everybody with me? Sorry that we're flipping back and forth. I should have organized this differently. So tangent theta. From what we talked about yesterday, can anybody remember what is tangent? y over x. Very good. So y over, it is opposite over adjacent for SOHCAHTOA, but in the circle, it's y over x, which means, how else could we write that? What is y? Sine theta over cosine theta. And it's y over x, just like slope is, right? So it's kind of the same thing, sine over cosine, right? Everybody okay with that? And it is totally y over x. So if I'm here, and when I want to do y over x, I'm going to put 1 over 0. What is 1 divided by 0? Undefined. Whew. All right. Here, I would put square root of 3 over 2 over 1/2. I have a fraction and a fraction. The first thing I do is not freak out because it is not that complicated at all. Take the numerator, square root of 3 over 2. You change division to multiplication, and you take the reciprocal of the denominator so that the 2's cancel out, and you're left with square root of 3. Everybody with me? Yes? All right, so then I have square root of 2 over 2 over the square root of 2 over 2. What does that become? 1. Those cancel out, it's just 1. Plus, I already told you, right? Then here, I would put 1/2 over square root of 3 over 2. So that becomes 1/2 times 2 over the square root of 3. The 2's cancel out, so that leaves me with 1 over the square root of 3, but I can't leave it like that. What does that become? Square root of 3 over 3. Now, we're doing the work here to come up with them. You're not going to have to do this every time. I don't want you to have to do this every time, okay? Just showing you where they come from and why, and then we'll talk about how to remember them. All right, so then this 0, I would put 0 over 1, and what does that give me? 0. Okay, so I boxed them so that we could see them in there. All right, so as far as what all, because there's 5 values there. Oh my God, there's 5 more things I'm going to have to know. But if you know these ordered pairs, like you should, and you understand that tangent is y over x, you know, you're going to know that one of them is undefined and one of them is 0, and maybe you just know where they go. But if you get them mixed up, just quickly think, what is 1 divided by 0? What is 0 divided by 1? And there's not really any work there. It's just like an extra thought, and I think you'll have those down just fine. This one, x and y are the same, so when you divide them out, it's 1. That one I think should make sense too. So then it comes down to really, you just have to remember these so that you don't have to do the calculations. Here's how I remember them, is that they both have the square root of 3 in them, right? But this one has an extra 3. Well, the one that has 1 3 in it goes with pi thirds. The one that has 2 3's in it goes with pi 6 because it takes 2 3's to make a 6. Okay? So square root of 3 over 3, there's 2 3's there, it goes with pi 6. Square root of 3, that's 1 3, goes with pi thirds. Does that make sense? Or whatever else makes sense to you. If you come up with some beautiful way of how it makes sense to you, and all our brains work a little bit differently, so sometimes I hear people trying to explain to their friends how they think about it, and their friends just looking at them like they're insane. But that made sense to the other person, so that's fine. You find what works for you. And if your friends are trying to tell you something and now your brain is like scrambled eggs, come back to me and I'll give you something simple and basic, okay? We good so far? Any questions at all? All right, so now, what are we going to do now? If I fill all those in, oh, let's go back over here. So back with the one with the hand on it. I really should have copied these differently, but whatever. All right, first quadrant, where it says first quadrant practice, the other side was the tangent values there. All right, first thing you're going to do, and we're not necessarily filling out everything, so pay attention to what I'm saying here. Fill in your angles in radians. Make that happen. It's the one that's next to the wheel thing. Yeah, it should have still been folded that way. The wheel's on the other side. All right, do we all agree with the angles? Okay, so now from your brain, not from your paper, and you might have a paper right in front of you with the answers on it. Either put it underneath this one so you can't see it, okay? And you're not looking at anybody else, and you're not helping each other on this one. I want you to the best of your abilities, without talking or looking at anything, fill in all of these ordered pairs, okay? And start by doing whichever ones make the most sense to you. I'm going to do that as well, but I'll do it off camera so you can't copy mine while you do it. And if you get something wrong, it's not the end of the world. This is still fairly new, but and you can use your hand if that helps. I highly suggest you do that. And then check yourself up here. You're not stupid, I know. So are we all pretty much first quadrant experts now? Yes. Your quiz on Thursday is going to look exactly like this. I'm going to give you a blank one, and you fill that in. That's Thursday's quiz. Okay? And I think most of you, probably all of you, could make 100 right now, but I don't want anybody to have a panic attack because I put a quiz in front of you right now, and even though you know it. Okay? All right, so now open it up, or like flip it around to where the hand's on the outside again. So I got the hand on this side, and then I have another blank first quadrant here. And again, we're not filling out everything, so just follow my camera won't let me zoom. Oh, there we go. It's okay, just do the other one. If you did the wrong one already, just do the other one. Just have another blank one, it's fine. Fill in your angles. Start with that. And the more you fill it in from your brain, the more you're going to know it. And you're not always going to have to fill out the whole thing. We're just doing that right now. It's going to help you learn it. Okay. Are we all good on the angles? Okay, so now we're going to ignore the ordered pair symbols. I probably should have taken them off, but I didn't. And just write the tangent values. You can just write them above the parentheses. Without looking at anything, do the best you can. Wow. Yes. Not yet. All right. The lines themselves are these values? Yeah. Your quiz Friday looks just like this, except I may or may not remember to take off the ordered pairs. But you're only going to have to give me the angles and tangents, and that's it. That should be 2 very easy hundreds, yes? And if we are truly experts on this, everything else is just going to kind of come naturally, right? Which is what I'm going to start showing you here in just a minute. All right, we all good so far? Okay, so once again, grab your other piece of paper. I wanted to keep you I think you stay awake, the more confused you are, right? Now take it and fold it with the circles on the outside. And for sure on this one, do not get ahead of me because I want to talk you through things in a specific order for specific reasons, okay? We're going to start with our angle measures, okay? So this first one here can be 0 or 2 pi, right? Or 4 pi or 6 pi, but 0 and then 1 rotation is 2 pi. Just one of the 2 circles. It really doesn't matter which one. All right, and then the little dashes here, those are actually your fraction bars, okay? And I want you to, we're just going to put in the first quadrant. So this is pi sixths, pi fourths, pi thirds, pi halves. Okay, everybody good so far? Again, don't get ahead of me. All right, so now this angle right here, what is this angle? Pi. Good, it's 180, so it is pi. And then what about this one down here? No square roots. Square roots, and that, okay, so I'm glad you said that. Because sometimes when I want angle answers, you give me stuff with square roots, and sometimes when I want trig values or ordered pairs, you give me pies, all right? So just like your degrees are always your angle measures, the pies here are always going to go with your radians, okay? The pies are the angle measures, and then the things with the square roots are your trig values or your ordered pairs, okay? So let's think fractionally. This is 1 pi half. That is 2 pi halves, right? So this is, and I did hear it from a couple people, 3 pi halves, which I think is what your brain was trying to do. Yes, I know. And I know that sometimes it's like you're thinking one thing and something else, something else is going up. Right. All right, everybody good with that? Okay, so now it is very important that you understand this fractional thinking. So you should know from yesterday that all of your pi 6 angles are the ones that are closest to the x-axis, right? So I know these three right here, those are my pi 6 angles. And you're going to have to know exactly what they are. It is not that big of a deal if you listen to what I'm saying here. If I'm thinking about sixths, then pi would be 6 pi over 6. You agree with that? So I have 6 of them. I have 6 pi's over 6. If I go to the second quadrant, I back up one. How many do I have now? 5 pi 6. I go back to 6 pi 6, go forward one, and that is 7 pi 6. Okay? Then if I go all the way around to 2 pi, how many pi 6 is that? 12. It's 12 pi 6. I back up one, and then I'm at 11 pi 6. Everybody with me on that? Listen. You're going to think about everything from the x-axis, and you either go up or down one to figure out where you are, right? Your pi fourths angles are all right in the middle here. So if I'm thinking in pi fourths, this is 4 pi fourths, right? I back up one. How many do I have? 4 minus 1 is 3 pi fourths. Go back to 4 pi fourths. I go forward one, and it is 5 pi fourths. When I go all the way around here, 2 pi would be what? 8 pi fourths. I back up one, and I have 7 pi fourths. Everybody good so far? Now we're with the pi thirds. So pi would be 3 pi thirds. I back up one, and I get what? 2 pi thirds. Go back to 3 pi thirds, go forward one, and I'm at 4 pi thirds. 2 pi would be what? 6 pi thirds. So I back up one, and I'm at 5 pi thirds. So do you see how to get to those angles? So if I ask you something about 7 pi fourths, here's what your brain's going to do. You're going to go 7 pi fourths. Well, 2 pi would be at 8 pi fourths. I back up one. That means I'm in the fourth quadrant. Something like that. It's just going to take like a second or two, just kind of like little steps you think through your mind to quickly get, because you have to know what quadrant you're in. And it will be, if you keep practicing when I have you practice, it will be easy for you, I promise. Okay? Questions at this point? All right, so now I want you to look at these 3 angles right here. Okay, the 3 angles that are in the second quadrant. And look at how the numerator is related to the denominator in each of those 3. What do you notice? It's 1 less. In the second quadrant, numerator is 1 less than the denominator every time. So if you're looking for your second quadrant pi fourths angle, I don't even have to think about this. I know the numerator is 1 less, so it's going to be 3 pi fourths. I don't even have to overthink it. Look at the numerator versus the denominator here. What is this? 1 more. And that's because we were here, right? And we either backed up 1 or we went forward 1. That's why it's like that. Okay, so that's another way to help you remember to see those patterns, especially if you're having to write it all out. We're going to write it all out a whole bunch because it helps us learn it, but that's not something that you shouldn't have to do that on a test. You don't have time for all of that. But the more we write it and the more we see it, the more you can see it in your brain when you're thinking through things. Okay, we got it so far? All right, so you got highlighters to share again. We're going to do the same thing we did yesterday. And yes, I know you have blue paper again. Get over it again. But your pi 6 angles, we highlighted them green. So let's make them green so we can see those patterns again. And then share your highlighter. Pi 4 angles would be pink. And then your pi thirds are going to be yellow. No. Okay. We got them highlighted? Okay. This order, let's get our first quadrant ordered pairs in there again. So just do your first quadrant. And you're going to have to write in the parentheses for these. Okay. Hopefully you can do that without having to look at anything or anything like that. Now, one of the purposes of what we did yesterday was so that you could see all of the reflections that were happening. And so what we know, and we've already highlighted them in green there, that all of our pi-6 angles, they all came, those all came from the same triangle, right? Which means the x and the y values there are the same. You just change the sign depending on what quadrant you're in, right? So for 5 pi-6, this would be square root of 3 over 2, 1/2, but which one of them is negative? The x is negative in the second quadrant. 7 pi-6. So again, I know it's square root of 3 over 2 and 1/2. Which one is negative? Both x and y. Whew, it's rough today. This is square root of 3 over 2 again and 1/2. Which one's negative? 1/2. Okay. All right. So now what I want you to do, because we have about 5 minutes left, I'll be able to talk to a few people, is I want you to go in there and fill in the rest of them, not by looking at your unit circle, but thinking about what the signs are. So if I asked you about 7 pi-6, the sign of 7 pi-6, you go, all right, 7 pi-6 is in the third quadrant. I know it should be 1/2, but since I'm in the third quadrant, that makes it negative 1/2. You see how that works? It all goes through the first quadrant. So at least get them labeled. We'll talk about the practicing some more tomorrow. And even the delta math that I gave you today, if you want to wait until tomorrow so we can talk a little bit more about how to get it out of our brains, that's fine, but make sure you have yesterday's done. Okay? Any questions at this point? All right. As soon as I find my mouse, I will pause this video.